Putrid pundits abound in the blogosphere, but CBS News, it's revolting. I am Mark Stewart. I am revolted by CBS News. I have for a long time. I haven't even watched in like 2 decades. But something came across my screen, published by CBS, profiling someone who's got my bio. But I'm not that interested in him. In fact, I'm not even going to use his name. Call him IX. And we should nix IX for the incendiary, stupid statements that will make America worse if they get publicized by CBS, which should know better, and it does. But CBS likes ratings, so they help tear America apart by going to the far extremes and publicizing things that are not representative. This man is not representative of African Americans. He's not representative of Muslim Americans. He represents the far left. The leftists would like America to go down. The leftists don't care if Donald Trump gets reelected. In fact, their antics over the last 3 months have driven such a wedge that they're almost assuring Donald Trump 4 more years, and Mike Pence 4 to 8 beyond that. Yeah, that's what Antifa does. That's what CBS, in profiling these awful people, are almost guaranteeing. Trump-Pence for the next 12 years. This man criticized a family adopting 2 Haitian poor children to America to give them a better life, to enhance their own lives, absolutely. But they do that with a high level of selflessness, taking the responsibility of bringing to these children a new language, or use the old language better, a new culture. This is hard. The family initially wanted to adopt 1 child, but because one was so tethered to the sibling, couldn't leave without the sibling, and the sibling had special needs, family takes on 2 impoverished Haitian children. And this gets criticized? Not just criticized. He calls them, quote, white colonizers. Colonization is something that is unsettling to every one of this. And no Americans today should be considered colonizers. Certainly not those who are trying to uplift where they can by taking strangers into their house and almost assuredly improving their lives. We need more of those, and we need fewer of these IXs. Why don't you go back to some other country that you feel is being colonized and help them in, actually don't even poison that country. Please, if anything, shut up, stay off the networks, or maybe drop dead. I'm serious, because you are making America a hurtful place. Let me take on colonization on its own terms, even though it is not here now, but was 100, 150 years ago. Without Western colonizers, much of those colonized territories would still be impoverished. Ask almost any Indian whether the British influence was helpful. It was colonizers who ended sati, the prior practice of men burning women to death when they lost their husbands. It was colonizers who got rid of clitoridectomies. It was colonizers, where possible, where they got into and influenced countries, who uplifted the status of women. It was colonizers who helped keep many tribes from ongoing warfare, butchering one another, not even in warfare by Western rules, but just marauding, butchering for no good reason, or if they kept them alive, often selling them into slavery. Yes, the North American slave trade started in the interior of Africa with black tribes who were the victors in internal warfare. It was Westerners who put a squelch where possible on all of that. In the process, did it help Westerners? Sure. They could get natural resources. They could get relatively cheap labor while still employing people better than they ever have before. Is that inequitable? That's the F word, fair. It is unfair, though, to say that a colonizing group was always hurtful to the colonized. And look, let's take today. To the extent that there is more dominance in business from the Western world in Africa, where the West has not influenced, is in pretty bad shape. Life expectancy for a male in Tanzania is 39 years. Life expectancy in Ethiopia, 42 years. By contrast, where there has been a high influence, Nigeria, very prosperous nation, except in the Northeast where there's some butchers they still can't control. Kenya, very prosperous, high life expectancy, and colonized by the Brits. This man's wife actually has Kenyan heritage, and she probably would never have gotten out of there had it not been for Western, call it colonial, influence. You want no influence from the West in countries like Chad and Somalia and Northeast Nigeria? You end up with continuing warfare, disease, poverty. America gets zero return for influencing those countries, okay? There's nothing to gain in Somalia, Chad, Northeast Nigeria. The oil's in the South. Yet we have private missionaries, we have corporations doing philanthropic things, and we have armed forces putting themselves in jeopardy to help people there. You, Mr. IX, and you, CBS, don't recognize the good in America, and it's an inherent good. This is not exceptional. The exceptions that you seem to represent are unfortunately getting publicized way too much. We need to ban them. I do not watch CBS. I will try hard to stay away from any CBS story that flits across my screen. I urge everyone to stay away from all the major networks. They are way too influential for bad. I'm Mark Stewart, urging people to look for good, which most of us have and do. Thanks for listening.